Hey, I'm Ghostie, and I'm back with another video about Moon Knight. This time, it's episode 4, which it's sad to say because there's only 6 episodes in the series as a whole, and now we're on the 4th one. So, of course, like every other video so far, I'm going to watch the video and I'll get back to you. And for the episode 3 video, I was like half asleep, so it was kind of half-assed, and maybe not fully understandable, so apologies for that. But anyways, I'm going to go watch it and I'll get back to you. BRB. Alright, what the hell? What an episode. Alright, I know I said last video or whatever about last episode it was bizarre. It was wild. Like, shit got weird. A little freaky deaky here and there. And this just amped up to another level. There's a lot to talk about, so I'm going to try to do it as fast as I can to not make this video way too long. A lot of shit happened, and I want to get a lot out. So, here we go. But before I do talk about it, I want to say one thing, that this episode, the whole show, but mostly this episode, really does feel like it's an Indiana Jones movie. Like I'm playing Uncharted or something. But I'm glad, it does have that vibe, it does feel like that, but at the same time of keeping that, it doesn't take focus off of Moon Knight. It still feels like you're watching, like it is the show of Moon Knight, and doesn't get off that. It still focuses on that and concentrates around this character of Mark Spector and everything going along in the show, which is good. So let's get into everything else. So the episode starts off with Steven waking up, which, by the way, I didn't even begin to bat an eye at last episode. Like, he was just kind of unconscious, and I didn't think anything of it. But he wakes up, and since they have the map of the constellation now, they can find out where to go for Amit's tomb, which Harrow has already beat them there, as we all saw from the episode. And half the episode takes place in this tomb, in this pyramid, like this pyramid of Giza. And it's pretty dope. Like, it's awesome. It's a very mysterious nuance to it all, and it's very dark. It's very creepy, and it's ancient. It's old. That's how it's supposed to be, and they do it phenomenally well. They deliver it pretty well. The setting in this episode is amazing, especially the second half, or I guess the 3 out of 4th quarter of the episode. The whole setting is great. Besides the last thing, I don't know what that thing was in the very last scene of the episode, but I don't even know where to begin with that. But the tomb is there, and they take place in it the whole episode, or majority of the episode, after they get into it. And it looks beautiful at the same time. It looks great. Maybe not beautiful, because, it's dull and old and dead. Or not even dead. It's very much alive. We learn in this. But it's still it's a really good setting. It's amazing. Depends on what your likings are, to be honest. But it's a cool setting. And, of course, with the setting, the plot moves forward as well. We learn a lot of stuff. We learn more about Mark, and it actually drops the name of Mark Spector and how he died and came back to life. We learn more about Layla and what happened with Layla's father and how he died, and it actually had Mark to begin with, and that's how he met Layla to begin with, was because of her father's death that he had a part in. And then we see her question him and all sorts of things about what happened and why things happened, and we'll probably learn more about it later in the show, but obviously we know why it got cut off so early and why he couldn't really explain, aka the bullet holes that were left in him. But we do learn a lot about the story behind Layla and Mark in this episode, and it expands their relationship, and of course with the conflict that I just said. And speaking of that conflict, I don't know if the episode straight out said it, but the day Mark died and came back, the day he died, it could have been the same day as her father's death, which I'm not sure if it did say that or it's yet to be revealed, because I think I would have caught it, or I would have remembered it. Might have said it, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because her father was an archaeologist and involved himself in all that stuff. And the core character of Moon Knight, Mark Spector, dies in the desert and at a tomb, which is where Khonshu resurrects him. So maybe it could be that. And I don't know if my dog barking just got in the background, but I apologize for that. So we learn that Mark has been lying to her for all this time because of his own guilty conscience, as she says, but in his words, we don't really find out what he thinks of it. Obviously, he does feel kind of guilty for it, but it was his partner's doing that, he said. It was his partner's doing that killed everyone there that day that her father died, and we don't see too much of Mark's thoughts on it, too much, as we see Layla's. because of, like I already said, he gets shot by Harrow. Which, by the way, the whole episode or the whole show so far, Harrow has been just intimidating, and he's been so he's so calm and collected, and he still fully believes what he's doing. Like he doesn't. It's more than belief. He thinks what he's doing is the right thing, and that is the true only form of justice that there is. And he's just a good antagonist so far, and I won't be surprised if he continues to be that good antagonist. But also, there's a lot more antagonists too, other than Harrow, because he has all these goons. But the one thing I'm mostly want to talk about right now is that thing that's in the tomb. I'm not sure what it was, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. We have Mark, not even Mark, it's Steven in Mark's body, and Steven is hiding up above Layla while they're looking at this tomb, or they're inside the tomb, and they're looking around for Amit. And there is this undead creature. Or not even a creature, it's like a person. It was a person at one point. It just has been resurrected from the dead. And I'm not sure if that's Harrow's power, or it's just something deep within the tomb, because we have never seen this tomb before, or the pyramids, really, in the MCU. So it could be anything. It could be from that, or from Harrow. But it doesn't seem like Harrow is controlling them, but it could be. I'm not sure. They could just be there. Or it is Harrow's doing. Because Amit isn't released. So far, Amit has not been unleashed. We don't know what happened after Mark got shot. So we'll see it next episode. And hopefully to get some closure with that. And of course what happened with Mark after he got shot. And fell into this golden pool. Which, by the way, also transitioned us to a big part of the episode towards the end of it. Which is this mental asylum. It's this all white interior room. Rooms, I should say. It's a mental hospital, and Mark is a patient there. And I think this whole entire scene, from beginning to end, it is dealing with Mark and his mindset. We dive into his mind, into his brain, and we see really how messed up his mentality is. So it's a perspective that we get of Mark Spector's broken fragments of his mentality. It's his mind that's all broken and all chaotic. And we get into Mark's shoes with this. And of course, not all of it makes sense. I'm just making my sense of it and what I think is happening. I'm not the writer or anything, so I don't know. I don't know why that big ass hippo was there at the end. I don't know why Harrow was the doctor. But I could say maybe just by assumption that Mark is dealing with this how he can. However way he's able to. He's dealing with whatever way he's able to. And whether that be physically, when he's in the tomb with Harrow, or mentally in his mind, while Harrow thinks he's in control. And he's trying to, control this whole operation, and he's trying to be this bigger figure. And Mark, is fighting against it, and he denies it. But, of course, I have no idea how or what is actually happening, because I'm just assuming it and what I think as a viewer. We see all these things that actually connect. Imagine a puzzle, and this puzzle is broken. It is scattered everywhere. All these different puzzle pieces that are not connected, and it's just a mess. That's basically what Mark's mind is. All these fragments of his memories and of his mind are all scattered about in this mental hospital, and of course it doesn't make sense, but everything does connect. Everything somewhat reminds the viewer and Mark himself of something that's in his life. Layla working at the hospital, Harrow as the doctor of this higher figure in this facility that thinks he can puppeteer it all. Stephen Grant, the archaeologist from the movie that he watched, which might be where that personality came from. That might be where he birthed the personality of Stephen Grant, and why Stephen Grant is so good in archaeology and history. There's a figure he plays with that looks awfully a lot like Moonlight. There's drawings of Khonshu and different Egyptian runes and not runes, hieroglyphs, things like that. So everything's is here and there in this mental hospital. And then comes the hippo, which I have no damn idea what that's about, but I guess somehow it'll make sense next episode. At least I'm hoping it does. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking for now. We even get two embodiments of Oscar Isaac's character of Mark and Steven. They're just two separate people. And that's why I do think it's in his mind. And a bunch of other stuff, like the hippo. I mean, that could be a real thing, to be honest. I'm hoping this isn't all just a dream or anything like that, because that would be really stupid. But I really do think it's in his mind, and we're working in the inner mechanisms of his mind and what's going on inside of his head. Sadly, like last episode, we got another personality that came out that we don't know what it's about. And in this episode, there's nothing, at least from what I've realized and what I noticed, there's nothing that really shows what the other personality was. From last episode, where Steven and Mark are talking to each other about after he just straight up murdered people, looking for Harrow, and he doesn't know who did it. Like, it wasn't him nor Steven, and it was a different personality. Like, he switched personalities, but it wasn't either of them. So we don't know. And anyone who knows Moon Knight would think it's Jake Lockley, the taxi cab driver, but I never saw him as a bloodthirsty kind of person like that. So I wasn't sure if it was that. And then another idea was that it was Khonshu that possessed him, but that's not really part of the core character either. And now it couldn't be that either if Khonshu is imprisoned. But that was before Khonshu was in prison anyways. But I still don't think it's that regardless, because it's not part of the character. So we still didn't get any hint of what that personality was in this. Unless it did, and it won't be known until they reveal it in the next episode or two. But so far, we don't know what that other personality was, and I'm hoping to find out what it is soon. And hopefully we meet that part of Mark Spector. And now that I'm thinking about it, and thinking about what happened in the episode, when Mark is running around in the mental hospital after leaving Harrow's room, he finds a sarcophagus and opens it up, and that's where Stephen Grant comes out, his other personality. And then they see another sarcophagus that's rattling even more crazier than Stephen Grant's was, and they didn't open it. So I wonder if that would have been the other personality. Since there were, it's the same thing as Stephen Grant. It was in a sarcophagus, and it was shaking, waiting to be opened. But they just avoided it. They didn't. So I wonder if that was that or not. And also another thing was that I wonder if that plays any part, Harrow being a doctor or anything. I wonder if that does play a part in what happened in Mark's life in reality, in real life. That would explain some reason of why Harrow knows so much about Mark, and also Layla. But it could just also be not anything like that, and it could be the case of being in his mind, just like I said. But we'll see as the show goes on, of course. But I really can't believe that they went out of their way to avoid the other sarcophagus when we know it's another personality that everyone's wanting to see. It's probably going to come up next episode, and that character is going to drop their name and first appearance for us to see, at least. So I'm really excited for that. And then, of course, everything else goes down. We see motherfucking Moto come out, which, by the way, I actually looked up, and that is Tawaret, or Tawaret. I'm not going to butcher the name forever. But it's a goddess depicted as a hippopotamus. Like we saw, the goddess of fertility and childbirth. And in Egyptian history, the god is perceived as half hippo and the tail of a crocodile, which is basically the opposite of Amit. Because as we know, Amit, I'm not sure what the bottom is, but I know the top half is a crocodile. They have a gator-like head. So I wonder if that's going to play any part in the whole scheme of things too. This hippo moto looking person, goddess, god, whatever it is that we saw in Mark's mind, might be way more than we think. But of course we'll say it because we have no idea. They just came out, they screamed, and the episode just went dark and ended. I was like, what the hell? I was so pressed because it ended like that. I wanted to see more. I wanted to see more of this white interior place. I want to see more of this broken gears that are spinning in Mark's head. I wanted to see more of it. And I'm not sure how they're going to keep going with it, because if this was, it was while Mark was dying. And he basically is dead, probably, because Khonshu was imprisoned by the other gods for making a huge commotion out of the night sky, like we saw last episode. And he's in prison. So Mark doesn't have, or Steven, they don't have the Moon Knight suit. They don't have conscious powers. So I'm not sure how he's going to come back to life. Unless they release Amit, like Harrow releases Amit, and then the gods realize what needs to be done. and Khonshu's back, or something along them lines. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but of course I'm interested in seeing it. I'm intrigued. The series has been great so far, and I cannot wait to see more. I think that's all I have to say. Also, wait, what if someone's carrying, like, the imprisoned gods? Like, they're literal gods imprisoned in rock, in stone, and they turn into a statue. What if they just drop them and the little statue breaks? What are they gonna do? A god and just fell. They just break it like an action figure. Now I'm getting flashbacks of dropping an Arkham City figure back in middle school, and now I'm impressed about that again. Well, all right. Regardless, this has been my thoughts on the episode 4. I really liked it. I'm intrigued. I really want to see more. But wait, actually, before I do end the video, I want to say something that I don't want to say, but I have to because, my thoughts about it, and I'm going to put it out there. That's what this video is about. But I know I praise the show and basically anything just because I like it so much, and I do appreciate the things I watch very much. So I don't critique things as much, but of course there's things I have to point out when I think it could be better or it's bad. In this case, I think the kiss scene between Steven and Mark's body, Steven and Layla, like that kiss and like their kind of interest, they build up a little bit, but they can't do too much without getting off the main plot of the story, which I get. But it did feel a little rushed here and there, especially the kiss, and some stuff just doesn't make sense just yet, at least. But like I said, I've already shared my thoughts about like some stuff. So, but like I said, that's been my thoughts about this episode, and I can't wait to see more of it. This is episode 4, 6 episodes in the series, and we have 2 more after this before the show finishes up. And I really hope Moon Knight stays in the MCU and becomes even a more prominent figure than he already is. But that has been the video and my thoughts on episode 4. I think I touched on everything that I wanted to, at least, and most of it. I like the episode. I like the show in its entirety so far. And again, I'm really looking to see forward to it, the rest of it. I can't talk for shit. I'm sorry. But again, this has been the video. If you got this far or clicked on the video at all, thank you so much. Moon Knight's out. Go watch it if you haven't. I don't know why you would be here if you haven't, but regardless, thank you. I appreciate it greatly. And that's all. This has been Ghostie, and I bid you all farewell.